Non-compete. No, most people don't know what a non-compete is. Somebody asked a question, how long does this kind of paranoia about your company owning your thoughts follow you after you leave the company? And that is actually a question about a non-compete agreement. And I've been asked this question by a few people. I'm not a lawyer. I have to always say that. But my answer is hell no. You shouldn't. There's no reason for you to sign a non-compete. And please don't just confuse a non-compete with a non-disclosure, okay? Which I almost always won't sign. I signed one last year to interview with a CEO for a company, which, you know, I'll do another video about that. But should I sign a non-compete? The answer is no. Just don't do it. There's no viable reason for you to sign a non-compete. You might think that you're going to get more money because the company that's potentially hiring you wants you so badly. They're going to have, get this extra thing from you, and they're going to have you sign a non-compete. And that it does happen at the higher level. And a lot of times you're going to be working on, if you want to work at Google, I think the non-compete is a full year. I don't remember. I don't know. Please don't misconstrue my words here. But companies like Google particularly, there's two reasons they have you sign a non-compete. One is to protect themselves, and two is to hold you prisoner. Because the only way you get out of that company and get another job someplace else is to have someone else have you literally sit on the bench or work on something entirely unrelated to your core skill set for as long as it takes to run out the non-compete. So these things are not normally considerations for beginners trying to get into the industry. But if you are top of your game and you want to go work for a FANG company in particular, this is one of the reasons I tell people to run screaming from the FANG companies. These FANG companies have legal teams that would just destroy anybody who disagrees with them. And, there are a lot of healthy, big, awesome companies that would never have you sign a non-compete. And frankly, if you want to avoid that whole non-compete thing, work for a contracting firm. This is something I've been doing recently that I'm really happy with. I've been working for the contracting firm I'm working for is Tech Systems these days. And people have good stories and bad stories about working as a contractor. And that's a separate video. But I will say they are typically global. And that's a really great question, Og. I don't know. I have a feeling that they do not span boundaries. The reason that, so first of all, my inclination is that non-compete agreements come from big, monstrous companies with huge legal teams and a lot to lose if they lose their people, which usually, isolates it to a certain, specific number of companies. They're not particularly conservative companies, by the way. They can be conservative, but they can be very progressive as a company, but really, really legally conservative. Well, here's the thing: if your company has legal jurisdiction it's a legal entity in multiple countries, then yeah, if the company operates in other countries. And as I said, there are a certain number of companies that span the globe. IBM is one. Google, Microsoft, they all have worldwide presence. So, I mean, you could go to some place that they don't extradite or anything, and just do whatever you want there. Obviously, if you want to live that lifestyle, but the safe thing to do here is don't sign a non-compete. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of the 102 reasons or so that I would never work for Google. As an example, and then I would be reticent to work for Microsoft as well, because these big, awesome companies come with a lot of strings attached. You might think that you're getting all this free stuff. It reminds me of a John Grisham novel. Anybody ever read The Firm or ever study The Firm? You know what I'm talking? That particular novel. Everything is so awesome. They're giving him all of this awesome stuff. And then, I won't give the plot away, but by the end you realize that the guy is like totally sold his soul and he can never get out, without, physical harm and stuff. That's what I feel like about some of these companies that are so, hermetically sealed happy towns, like Guilfoyle calls them on Silicon Valley. Let's say when I get Microverse, it's like ready to flip them. Oh gosh. Versus US based. I'm in Brazil. Good luck forcing me to pay when I don't have to. Yeah. What does that say? Another comment here. Let me go read it. So I have a question. I'm currently an SRE. I have 3 interviews with the same company. What should I do to prep for that? We'll get to that question in a second. So let's wrap up this one and we'll keep going. So these are questions for you to ask yourself as you go into the interview process, though. If you get all those papers they stick in front of you to sign, make sure you know what you're signing. This is not a time for you to skip over it and just accept the user agreement. This is not that time, because we've talked about a lot of these little things, and specifically right now we're talking about the non-compete one, but we'll talk into a few of the others. And don't ask these things up front, but you should probably ask them in the second or third interview before you finally accept a job and start getting paid. Because as soon as you're getting paid, it's too late. Honestly, you could get into a job. This is not a hypothetical. You could get into a job having signed this stuff, decide you don't like the job, have it be at will employment, which means that you can leave or they can leave, but that a non-compete still applies. You can maybe never have coded any work for that specific position and still have the non-compete apply for the next following year, which means that you are done because you can't even work in your core skill set for the following year. Now that's a very, very extreme scenario. That would, but it's not something that, is completely not a thing. You can still, yeah. So the answer is no. Don't sign a non-compete. You don't need to. You don't ever need to. If a company, if you think you need to sign a non-compete to work for that awesome, really awesome company that you have, then I'm going to tell you right now, you really, really need to ask yourself why you are attracted to that company, and go watch The Firm, because there's probably the reasons you're attracted to the company are not going to be worth signing your life away to that level. Imagine working for a company that can fire at will and enforces a non-compete. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And it hypothetically that exists, right? And the companies have all the power anyway. You're kind of signing your life away. So just